Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it is my privilege and my honor to bring onto the Players NL podcast today a person that I met, she and her husband, about 10 years ago through a joint effort to support a charity called Kids Play International. And without blowing her resume up too much, I'll just say All-American, Pan Am Games, Olympic Games, World Championships, UCLA, a great academic institution, a great person, my friend, Jaime Komer. Jaime, welcome to the podcast.
Mark, thank you for having me here. It's a joy and it's an honor. And thanks for that introduction.
Well, you did it. I just read it. So, Jaime, the Players NIL is all about education. And it's become a big part of your life, personally and professionally. Mm-hmm. We'll get into that. But, I use two words to kind of describe our world, and those are sports and athletics. And to me, they're different words. So to me, sports is, your fandom. Where did you watch your first athletic competition? Who were your teams? Who took you there? What was your experience? And then athletics would be your personal journey about competing. And athletics is about preparation and about practice and about teamwork. And athletics is about winning and about losing. But let's talk about sports, because we're trying to set the table for how people can use sports to better their life and those around them. So tell me some of your earliest memories of sports, which would be those experiences that you had and who you had them with.
Earliest memory of sports and who I had them with. I remember seeing my brothers play sports. I have two older brothers. I grew up in Central California, a very hot place in the summertime, and I'd see them play water polo and a variety of sports. And when I saw them play water polo, that's when I got hooked. I was so curious because, one, again, it's hot. I'd been playing basketball and softball and volleyball and trying all these different things, and even trying gymnastics. And I'm 6 feet tall. I mean, trying gymnastics, maybe not, doesn't suit me. At the same time, it was really fun to try. And so one of my memories is seeing them in the water and thinking, well, that'd be fun. And it was simple like that. There wasn't a big agenda. I mean, I was just a kid. I just thought, well, that'd be super fun to try. And so I did. I started actually in high school, which I realize is so late by, current standards, probably for starting the sport that you compete in professionally, or in collegiate level. And I started as a freshman in high school, and it was so fun to try. And I was absolutely horrible at it, though. I couldn't tread water. And that's, as a goalkeeper, you need to tread water. You don't use the bottom usually. And you can if you need to, if the bottom is available to you. But it's usually, at least, the pool can be 6 feet deep. So you're not going to use the bottom. And it took time. It took a lot of time. But it's, when you start to play that sport that you love, it's just something connects. And it was so fun to be introduced to that from my brothers, and then just bring that into my own life as my own personal passion too.
So back to the sports part, you're watching your brothers. What was it that you identified with? What were the things that you saw, or what were the movements? What was the competition? Probably took your eyes away from the pool. What did you see in the fans, in the stands, and the parents? What was it that you were like, wow, I want to participate and be an athlete?
There's something about being part of a team that I was really curious about. And even watching from the stands, to seeing how everybody works together. And yet it's still an individual activity. You're still using your own body. You're not moving anybody else's body. You're not telling anyone else what to do, to some extent, right? You're focusing on you, yet you're part of this bigger entity. And purpose is really important to me. And so being part of this greater purpose of a team really drew me and excited me, that people could come together and figure out how to go towards a common goal. And not that I would use these words as a kid, but this is just how I reflect on it now, on the situation. But seeing them together, how they work together, was really fascinating and fun.
Love it. Awesome. Great recapturing that. Yeah. So you start to participate. So we move from sports to athletics. You're an athlete now. When did you realize that athletics might give you opportunities in life? Where were you? Did you have a moment? Was there a season? Tell me about that journey.
Well, being in Central California, it's not a place known for water polo. I was not part of a program that was, part of a pipeline to get me into more water polo. So I didn't know what the future looked like. At the same time, it was traveling to tournaments first off. That was the start. They got me the idea of, oh, you could actually go places with this. Like literally, you can geographically go places with playing your sport. And then at the time, we didn't have, I don't think we had email at the time, did we? I literally wrote letters to different coaches in college. And so it was the idea of actually reaching out to the coaches and being told by my coaches to do that, meaning like, hey, give it a try, reach out to them. Right. That helped me get the idea of like people believing in me, essentially, I guess is the bigger answer, Mark, is people believing in me and offering these ideas of, hey, reach out, hey, try a little harder, keep going, you can do it. That was huge.
Well, we've talked about my philosophy on parenting, and it comes down to two things, right? It comes down to self-confidence and opportunities. I think those are the two greatest gifts that you can give your children, and you have young children and you're going to figure that out. But
I do.
So thankful for the people that created those opportunities, but you used athletics. Some people may use music or art or food or whatever their passion may be. You used athletics to create opportunities, right? And you got the self-confidence to market yourself. So we've moved forward a little bit. You were successful. Obviously, you land at UCLA. Tell me about the first practice at UCLA.
Quite honestly, I don't remember. That might be because of the concussions I've gotten. I'm not sure which one, but all I know is I do remember the season, Mark, because I had come off of senior year as a high schooler and I had had 2 shoulder surgeries since then. During the summer, I had 2 shoulder surgeries. So I wasn't actually able to train during our preseason at UCLA as a freshman. And I was told by our coach, Adam Krikorian, who's now the USA Women's Olympic coach, head coach there as well. He's had an amazing career at UCLA, amazing career with the USA Olympic team. And he said, if you prove yourself, you could be a starting goalkeeper as a freshman. And I wasn't training though at preseason. I still was in a sling part of the time. I wasn't able to use my arms. So I just had to work my butt off without using my arms and do what I could do. So when the time came around, when season came, when I could actually physically block a ball as a goalkeeper, that I could actually prove myself. So it required a lot of mental, let's say that self-confidence again. Like I may not be able to prove myself today, but I know I'm putting in the work today to be able to prove myself when the time comes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're using athletics to build your life, to build your personal self-confidence. Generally speaking, some of the lessons you learned in the pool, I'm guessing, applied to everyday life, academics, social. I think you met your husband during this period of time. So you had a great coach, one that was very successful on the scoreboard. But tell me some of the lessons that he shared with you and that you gained from his leadership.
I remember one time Adam shared with us, I think it was on a piece of paper, and it was printed out, complacency, the definition of complacency, being the idea of being just kind of satisfied with where you're at and being okay with being at that point. And I remember that definition really stuck to me because we had won national championships. At the time, it was the championships, collegiate championships as a freshman. And this probably came out by the time maybe junior year because we had won national championships in sophomore year too. And so it was really important that we didn't get complacent, right? We could easily get complacent where we're at. Oh, we've already won a number of times. And the idea that, oh, wait, you can always learn. Yes, we can celebrate where we're at. We can celebrate what we've done, and you can continue learning, not just about yourself, but you as a team, and also pushing yourself and continuing to strive to be a better version of you, which doesn't mean who you were beforehand wasn't okay. You were great then too. And we can keep growing. That was a big lesson for me. And the way Adam presented it was really welcoming, again, in encouraging who you are today and who you will be. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. I mean, again, using athletics to better yourself. So not to dismiss your athletic career, but let's go post-career, which is where we're at now. And it's where you, where you make your living. And so you're an athlete, you're a competitor, you're smart, you're intelligent, you learned all these lessons, but your athletic career ends a little bit later than most with your post-collegiate experience.
Mhm.
So now you catapult into the real world, and you
Right.
walk into the coffee shop and people say, yeah, that looks like an athlete, but I don't know who she is. And it doesn't make any difference anymore, you know? And so now you have to have your own self-worth. You have to create your own identity, and you have to move forward.
Mhm.
And you're an entrepreneur at heart. I know your career journey. And so how did you use athletics to foundationally support your dream professionally?
Oh, thanks, Mark. As an athlete, you gain so many skills and strengths that you may not realize are so transferable and so applicable to everything else you do in life, including exploring who you are, exploring your self-worth, exploring your identity, exploring what you want to do in work, how you want to show up every day at work. And for me, I think one of the biggest pieces was in sport, luckily, because the people I had around me as well, and maybe who I am as well as a person, and what I gained as an athlete, I was able to take away and take into work this belief that, just because it's not there already, it can be done. We can create something new, or there's no ceiling. Anything is possible. So that practice really helped, that self-belief, I'll say, right? The belief that you can find new solutions, be a problem solver, be curious, find new ways, really helped me explore different avenues because I'm entrepreneurial, and try different careers, and be okay with learning through the process too, and not having to figure everything out. It's just like when you're training for sports. I mean, if you pick up, a 500-pound weight for the first time ever, it's not going to go so well, right? Or a 100-pound weight. You got to start small, little weight at a time. We got to progress slowly when we train and build our body, our musculature, our physical ability to carry and weight, right? Same thing goes for moving on into the career world. We can start little bit at a time, and be kind to ourselves through that process too.
Yeah, great lessons right there. I mean, some really great quotes. And that brings me to your current passion, and that is your association with Athlete Career Transition, ACT.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about that organization and your role, and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to give back.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I'm so passionate about this piece. I am the chief transition guide for ACT, and ACT is all about helping transition the elite athletes of the world from sport to business. So I work with Olympic and Paralympic and professional athletes, and my particular role is really supporting their personal transition, because when you go through a lot of outer change, like retiring from your sport, and then starting a new career path, there is a lot of change in your life going on. I mean, I guesstimate it's around 90% of life change that happens. And there's a lot of inner processing that takes place during that. So I support the well-being, the physical, emotional, spiritual well-being of the athlete as they go through this, so they could really optimize their transition and really become the best version of themselves today. Explore their identity, explore their self-worth, figure out, those big questions that they're asking. Who am I? How do I want to spend my time? What do I want to do? What direction do I want to head in? And particularly, how do I use all these amazing skills I gained as an athlete into the business world now, in this new life of mine? So ACT has been doing this for over 10 years, and I just joined over last summer in 2021. And it's been amazing being able to work with athletes from around the world and being able to support their holistic well-being.
If people want to know more about the program, what's the website? Where can they go?
Yeah, athletecareertransition.com. Simple.
Just like it sounds.
Yep. Thanks for asking.
Sure. So we come to the final phase of this, and this is the advice phase. And so I ask all my guests the same thing, to go back to, Jaime as a freshman at UCLA, and in the prism of NIL, name, image, and likeness, and knowing the advantages that this can offer student athletes, both contemporarily with what they're doing and also in the future. Give us some words of wisdom about how athletes should monetize not money wise, but the experience of name, image, and likeness.
Yes. Thank you, Mark. So there's 3 bits of advice I'd like to offer, and these all come from the lens and scope of well-being. So thinking about the longevity of you as an athlete, not just you today, your performance. That's one of the focuses, is your performance, who you are today, your happiness and fulfillment today, on the field, out of the field, and then also in the future. So that's the scope I'm looking at this from. And these 3 bits of advice I'd love to offer you listening. The first one is, you are a human athlete. And what I mean by that is Alex Diebold, he's an Olympic bronze medalist, professional snowboarder with Team USA. He shared at a talk I was present at, we may do superhuman things as elite athletes, but we're human. Like, we have ups and downs, we have anxiety, stress, depression, a variety of experiences, and the importance of honoring that. So the advice here is honoring that you are an athlete and you are human. That means that it's okay, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're experiencing. And by honoring and really just sitting with sometimes whatever the ups and downs that you're experiencing right now in your life around even NIL and the receiving or not receiving of money, potentially, to really be able to sit with whatever emotions are coming up and to acknowledge them. That's a really big thing to do. It's a huge thing to do. It's not easy to do. But when we're coming into, you brought up self-worth earlier, Mark, and the possibility of tying our self-worth to, how much money we're earning or receiving and what that might lead to. And that's some of the work I get into with the athletes, actually. And we have a group called the Human Athlete Collective, where we come together and talk about all the real stuff, the real challenging issues that we all experience. So first advice is be human. Allow yourself to feel what you feel. Maybe that's journaling it out. Maybe it's talking it out to a teammate or to somebody or someone who has no affiliation with sport, but just to allow yourself to express whatever ups and downs you're experiencing with NIL or just as an athlete. Yeah. Are we ready for number 2?
Go for number 2.
Okay, let's do it. Okay. Second is keep learning about yourself. This may seem kind of obvious, but I think as an athlete, it's so easy to focus and hone in on your quality of play, training, right? What you're eating, your sleep. And then as a student athlete, you're also doing the study piece too. So keep learning about yourself, because the more you learn about yourself, the easier it is to, be a great communicator with teammates, communicate with your coach, learn how you play on and off the field. And then also when you transition, it'll be a lot easier to, figure out what works for you. So for example, taking self-assessments, there's free ones online. There's a self-compassion assessment even, that when we practice self-compassion, it's so much easier to get over mistakes. So as an athlete, think about yourself on the field, in the pool, on the track, and you're a little easier to yourself when you make a mistake, then you can let it go and be more present and be in the game, in the flow, and focus. There's also strength finders tests, self-assessments you can take, which are fantastic for you to learn more about what your strengths are and how to communicate with them. And that's one of the things I do with the athletes as well. And it's great for coaches too. Coaches can get to know their athletes on a deeper level about how to communicate with them, whether it's about NIL, whether not with the coaches, but with the athletes. I mean, for them as they're working through NIL, or for themselves as a teammate. And so that's number 2, keep learning about yourself. Number 3, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. It seems so simple, yet so powerful, is bring in hobbies to balance you out. So the reason I'm saying this is because as an athlete, as a collegiate athlete, as a student athlete, and particularly with NIL in the works too, when we're focusing now, there's this whole other entity that's in our life now around name, image, and likeness, that our energy may feel like we're only an athlete, right? You are more than an athlete. And the way I think of it is, imagine if you were playing your sport and you were told to only train your legs. Like, even if you're a runner, it was like, just train your legs. Don't do anything with your arms. Don't do anything with your core. Don't do any work on your back. Like, it wouldn't make sense, right? It'd be uneven for your body. You'd have imbalances in your body. Like, you have to train your whole body to excel in your sport. And the same thing goes for you as an athlete by bringing in, just doing something that you like to do on the side for fun. Like maybe you saw the British Olympic diver Tom Daley in the Tokyo 2021 Olympics. He would knit in the stands.
Yes.
It helped him like focus and just like kind of balance out his energy. And for me, when I was training for the Olympics, I would between trainings, I would go home and I'd make jewelry. Like it was something totally different from water polo, and which allowed me to balance out and just train all areas of my brain, let's say. And the amazing thing is though, Mark, is when we do that, when we do focus on something else at some time, we are able to focus more when we play. We become a better athlete through that at times. It is possible. So bring in more hobbies. Yep. Keep learning about yourself, and you are a human athlete.
Wow. I'm sitting here with goosebumps. It's pretty powerful stuff.
Yeah.
Well, Jaime, you've been a wonderful guest, and I can't even tell you the words of wisdom and the nuggets that are in there. And we're excited to share that with our audience. Here at the Players NIL, one of the principles that I'm building the business on is the word legacy. And to me, the legacy means, did you leave the place better than you found it? And you're doing that in this world. You're doing that with athletes. And so congratulations, but most importantly, thank you for your contributions to athletes around the world. And we wish you well with ACT.
Thank you.
We look forward to staying in touch with the Players NIL and Jaime Komer, my special guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. It's a joy to be here.